Welcome back to this total renovation of an electric transport moped from the mid-90s. This is part 2. If you haven't seen part 1, go watch part 1. It'll make a lot more sense having seen that. If you have seen part 1, here's part 2. I'm still picking away at this, and there are a lot of components to go through. Quick before and after. These are the front fenders. So this is obviously the before. This is the after. And there's quite a bit of difference there. So far I've just hammered them out again so they're the shape that they're supposed to be. All the edges are all bent up. And then it's just a case of going over them with a wire wheel and a bit of paint on them, and that's one more part done. And I think that's really the only way to approach this. So this is the back wheel. I want to paint this the same colour as the front fenders and some bits of the frame. Most of this is going to be a sort of a dark coppery green colour. This, I think, grey or maybe black or something like that. This bearing is obviously not happy. There's a bit that have fallen out. So I guess we'll be replacing that. That is really mangled. I don't think I've ever seen a bearing do that. That's not a happy bearing. But on the other side, we've got this big drive cog. There's one bolt in there that's broken off. That's always fun. I think that's a hardened bolt as well, by the looks of the other ones that are still there. Yeah, maybe we'll get that out. Maybe. But I'm going to try and get this off, just to paint the wheel. Might be time to go and buy some new tools. There we go. There's that one. Who needs the right tool for the job when you've got bits of old iron and whatever you got? Well, that's in there. Really in there. I think it's a while since this was taken apart. Oh, please don't break. I mean, these are hardened, they shouldn't break, but I think they're hardened. Yeah, possibly. So they shouldn't break, but one of them's already broken, so that's a little bit worrying. Oh, 5 for 5. And the one that's broken, I didn't break. So, yeah, don't know how I feel about that, but I'm happy that I didn't break any of the ones that I was trying to get out. Well, that's still stuck on there. Can you hear that? That is a very unhappy bearing. And this bolt here goes all the way through. So we might be able to get a pair of vice grips on the end here and wind it out this way. Maybe. That's good. Now we've got to see how we can get this bearing out. There's a spacer in the middle, which doesn't make life easier. We need to whack it from the other side. I don't think there's any other alternative. Let's let that soak a little bit. I'd like to heat that before I take it out, but there is a national shortage of gas tubes in Sweden right now. I don't know how that situation came about, but yeah, there is. Sounds silly? It is silly, but yeah, it is what it is. I figure let's try getting the exploded one out first. Didn't come out, it did break some more though. And now my punch is stuck in a bearing. Yippee! And now I need another punch to get my first punch out. Did loosen up a little bit. Alright, I'm going to hit that repeatedly till I get it out. That wasn't actually too bad. So this is what came out. One completely shot bearing, but a complete bearing with a number on it, and obviously you can measure it as well. So I'll get another one of these. This is the the bearing that didn't want to play. This is it was tired of being a bearing. It wanted to be something else. It'll probably be a fridge in its next life. So bits of that. And then this is basically, I think, just a spacer that goes between the two bearings, and that's so that when you tighten up the wheel on the rear forks, it doesn't destroy the bearings. So that is itself obviously destroyed. Kind of wondering how this thing ran, but it did. So that's just a piece of tube. So that's not too difficult. I've got sort of a measurement. Yeah, maybe not. But I've got the diameter. And I think I'll try to find a piece of tube, probably got one around here somewhere. Piece of tube, cut it a little bit long, and then when I put the new bearings in, I'll adjust the length so that we've got the right tension on it. And then the last thing with the wheel, before I hit it with a wire wheel and paint it, I want to get this piece of bolt out. I think a pair of vice grips and oh yeah, oh that's really loose. Sort of get it by hand. So sort of. It's coming. Is it going to hit the middle of the rim before it comes out? No, it's out. Yeah. Ha! There. All the bolts are out. So, I'm not sure about... I don't know if these are hardened. I suspect they're probably not, because hardened bolts shouldn't break. I think when we put them back in, we'll find ourselves... somewhere in here there should be, that's kind of right but a bit long, hopefully in here somewhere, my collection of hardened hardware, we should be able to find 6 hardened bolts that are the same as these, and that should mean that it doesn't break in the future. At the back of the machine now, these are the rear forks. The wheel sits in here. These bits are visible, so I want to paint them. So I'm deciding if I want to take them apart, and I'll take them off the machine, and I've come to the conclusion that I don't want to take them off because it looks like quite a lot of work. There are a few things to address in here. These wires are just flapping. These are partly the wires to the rear light and partly the wires that come from the ignition switch, and they're just, yeah, they're going to end up in the drive chain. I'm surprised it hasn't happened yet. But there's something in here that concerns me, and that is this thing here. That's a big old tubity clip, and I think under it is a tie wrap, and I can't think of any good reason for them to be there. It didn't come like that from the factory, let's put it that way. So this thing's never really given me any trouble, so I've never really looked into it, but that's the motor. That's the electric motor. And that tubity clip goes all the way around it. So something's obviously broken in there and someone's fixed it. This is another sort of a farmer fix. And now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So I think that whole, what do you want to call it, the rear subframe, I think it's coming out. Exciting. As far as I can tell, I've got no manual for this. It's held on by these rear suspension bushings and a big shaft that goes all the way through, and the belt. So if we can get the something's tensioning the belt. If I can work out what's tensioning the belt, I think there's a chance to get this whole thing apart. Get the belt off, loosen, doesn't really matter, either here or here, and take this big bar out that goes right the way through. That's a pivot point there, so it's probably a good idea to grease that as well. So the question is, what tensions the drive belt? And the answer is, I haven't got a clue. I can't get to the other end. So I think we're just going to start taking stuff apart. I take these bolts out of here. These bolts that are barely long enough, and they don't even go all the way through the nut, so I don't know what that's all about. And then I've got the jack under the rear subframe at the moment, but if we let that down a little bit, maybe the belt releases itself. Okay, that wasn't very dramatic. Oh right, okay. Okay, that's fine. This is the motor here, and this is a gearing that goes over to the drive sprocket on this side. So this whole thing comes out as one. So we don't need to release the tension on the drive belt. The whole drive assembly is going to come out. Nope. I probably need to think about supporting this. It should be heavy. Oh, that's not good. Yeah, this needs to come out. I wonder if I should have... I'm doing this in the wrong order. I wonder if we put at least one of these bolts back in and pretend that we're trying to be a little bit sensible. There you go, one bolt. And I promise you, when I put this back together, it's going to be getting a longer bolt, a washer at the top because it's pushing the frame in, and a lock nut on the end, because that's just asking to come apart. They weren't even particularly tight. Let's put the other side in as well. I don't want to break the motor. They're expensive. Okay, controlled descent. Hopefully. I promise you that is also not original to the machine. That is just a big length of stainless steel threaded bar. Yeah, we're not the first ones to go in here. So that should sit up in the frame without falling down spectacularly. I'm a little bit concerned about the wiring, and yeah, I think there's enough slack, so we're going to find out. Stuck. We're stuck on the axle stand on this side. Maybe now. Oh, no. Stuck on the wiring. Yeah. I knew that was going to happen. Okay. That has come apart. Don't know why. Alright, let's get it out of here and we can look at it properly. Well, here it is on the bench. A bit more civilised here. It wasn't actually that bad to get out. The most difficult thing to get off was the brake cable, and it would have been a lot easier to take it off if I'd done it before, if I was smart enough to do that, but I'm not, so I didn't. Get the chain out of the way, because that's just there. That's just causing a problem. Okay, yeah, that's bent, but that's just to stop the chain hitting the motor. What have we got then? We have got some kind of dodgy cables. That's rubbed through and that's rubbed through. Yeah. Guess we need to do something about that. How is this mounted? That's... I don't know what this Jubilee clip thing is supposed to be doing. I think maybe we'll take it off and see what happens. I assume something's going to fall apart. Well, that's stuck. I'm not really surprised, but what were they trying to do when they put this on? do I want to take it off? Well, yeah, I do. Let's take it off. It's on there better than I thought. Okay, we take off this massive Jubilee clip. Yeah, we won't be able to get that to unscrew. Let's keep that in case we need to get another one. We know what size we need. This is flapping in the breeze, but I don't think that's the biggest problem in the world. How is that supposed to go back together? Is it missing a bit? Why are you like that? Don't know. Ah. Okay, it's like that because this bit fell off. So that goes on there, and that clips something somewhere. Does it go like that? Yeah, it goes like that. And well, how did you fall off? Because you're not exactly easy to get on again. Yeah, but that clips in there. Okay, good. We know that now. Okay, Jubilee clip is off. Why was the Jubilee clip on there in the first place? No clue. I just don't know. And did I drop a nut into the motor? Maybe. There's a nut up there. And it fell. Ah, it's there. Haha! Good. Here it is. Right. It fell onto the motor, not into the motor. So that's good. So the Jubilee clip sat here, and it sits in this little indent, and there's another one on the other side, and without it, the motor is loose. It was never welded here. It wouldn't be. It's bolted here, and this is the other attachment for it. So apparently they built these things with Jubilee clips to hold the motors in. Yeah, I wasn't really expecting that. I've got another one in the same size, and it's feels good to replace it because that one was a little bit rusted, but it wasn't exactly easy to cut off. So yeah, I guess that's just how it is. Yeah, you learn something every day. These wires, on the other hand, they're not great. These are rubbed through. This rubber grommet is supposed to sit in there, and it's not sitting in there. And this, I don't know what that mess is. It looks like shrink tube that hasn't been shrunk. So, yeah, what do we want to do with this now? What are you even looking at? It's down there. There you go. There it is. I want to paint this whole thing. Drive sprocket looks actually okay. Bushings are okay. This needs to get painted. It's visible from, I think, here and out. I need to do something about the wiring. I might blow some of the dust out of the motor. That's probably a good plan. There's a lot of grease on it as well. I'd like to hit this with a pressure washer, but I'm not going to do that if the motor's on it, so... How much work is involved in getting the motor off? And what's the condition of this drive belt while we're in here? Probably another good. good thing to look at. Yeah, it looks fine. If it was a cam belt I wouldn't change it, so mostly because I don't know how. So this is held on by 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts. What's that, 13? There! There! Mate. There we go. Two of those, and then... This doesn't fit. So it should mean that I have a socket that does fit. Not that one. Yeah, that one. Any tool's a hammer if you're brave enough. Hey cat! Kom daar! Oh, meow to you too. The cat speaks Swedish, obviously. He's a Swedish cat. Alright, that... I need to get the tension off the belt, but that should just... yeah. There we go. There we go. Nearly. There we nearly go. There we nearly, not quite. Come on. Get off there. This would be easier with two people. Cat, come here to help till. Nah. He doesn't have thumbs, that's his excuse. There we go. Right. That off. Okay, so the motor needs a little bit of work. Tidy up the wiring. I can actually see what this is now. Made in 1997. 24 volt, yeah I knew that. 3000 RPMs. Made in Italy. What's the effect? What? That's on the big bit of dirt. Oh, it's rubbed off. No. I don't know what power this makes because there's a big rub mark where it says what, and where it says, what does it say there? Armal. It's probably Italian for voltage. 24 volts. You can read that. I knew that. Oh well. Otherwise it looks good. Just a bit of wiring to sort out on that. Put that carefully to one side, but before we do that, put the bolts back in loosely so that they don't disappear if they want to go. Oh, there we go. Stick stick those back in. Don't want to lose those. Drive belt, that can go over with the motor. And then this I do not want to paint. This is aluminium. Little circlip here. Not those. Not those. Maybe these. There we go, didn't launch it and it's stuck. Yeah! Of course, because this is aluminium on steel, and aluminium on steel, do I even want to screw with this? I'll screw with it a little bit. If it doesn't want to come off, it's staying on. I'll just paint round it. That's probably going to do nothing. Let's see. Yeah. We'll try wedging in under here and giving the axle a tap and see if that does anything. If it doesn't do anything, it's staying together, because I don't want to screw with that. It's actually coming off. Well, that's unexpected. This must have bearings in it as well, so it's not the world's worst idea to look at the bearings. You know, we've seen what these bearings are like. So good. Let's try getting a little bit braver. The ball peen hammer. So if I manage to hit the axle and not the pulley, we'll be fine. Yeah. Actually, let's rotate that so we're not pushing on the same part of the pulley all the time. And I'm going to need something to hit like a bolt would do it. I'll sacrifice a bolt. Reset a little bit. I could get a puller on here, but I don't know if I want to do that on an aluminium pulley. I think that's kind of asking to break something, and not the puller, the pulley. She's on there, but she's coming off. Slowly. Ow, my finger. Alright, let's put a puller on there. Probably not the greatest idea, but you know, life is short. It's taking too long. What's that doing to our... I think that's fine at the moment. There we go. Oh. There's a wasp in here. Ugh. Obviously. Go away. How about now? Did we bend anything now? No, this seems like a strong aluminium pulley. That's good. I think now we're stuck on the inside of the... Stuck on the inside there. We'll stack some nuts down in there, so we're pushing on those and not egging out the hole in the middle of the pulley, because that will not be good. It's getting easier. At some point it's just going to fall off, but it hasn't happened yet. Surely now it's just going to... Nope. Need more nuts. One, two more. There's 4 of them in there now. Yeah, there we go. Success! And my nuts are falling all over the place. I hate when that happens. Hey cat! Alright, that's off. That, I don't know what that is, I didn't do that. Someone's been here before. It survived the removal, so that's good. And what about our bearings in here? Given the condition of the rest of the bearings in this thing, I'm inclined just to replace them, and that's not the right removal tool. We want one that goes the other way. There we go. Didn't launch it. And I really need a bearing puller. I'm going to see about taking his axle out now. Yeah, right, yeah, we go. I've got the same thing on this side. That is a one of those. in there then. This is the cog on the other side, and this isn't aluminium, so this is going to be a little bit more resistant to... Oh, what a good shot. There, got it. It's going to be a little bit more resistant to bending. So if we get ourselves a chisel under there. Oh, didn't even need to hit it. Ah, good. Need a spacer. Oh, there we go. A spacer or brute force. So this is also keyed, so that's going to have to come out of there. Yep, that's out of there. We'll see about driving this out. I need a bigger bench. How about that? And I've got to the stage where I've got too much stuff here because I can't find anything. That brought the bearing out with it, that's good. And that is, yeah. I don't think that's all that great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. The axle looks good. Yeah. Yeah. That's not great. It looks... yeah, good luck seeing that. It looks kind of hammered on the inside as well. So... what's that? That's some kind of retention ring. Okay. And that, yeah, that one is absolutely horrible. So that was worth doing. I wonder if it's a... no, it's not the same. Okay. Get the key out of that. Like so, and then... what's it going to take to get this spacer ring off? Is it keyed? Is it just stuck? It's just stuck. Yep, one of those, one of those. Come on, get off there. Maybe we can knock it off with the bearing. This is not the approved way of removing a bearing. Well, not one that you want to use again anyway. But I'm not going to use it again. So it is now the approved way of removing a bearing. An even less approved way of removing a bearing, but perfectly approved if you're not planning on using it again, is just to do that. Without mushrooming over the end of the shaft. There we go. And that's going to fall on the floor, and there's not much I can do about that. apart from pick it up. Hopefully it's going to fall on the floor after the bearing comes off, but I think there's a risk it's going to fall on the floor before the bearing comes off. Ha! Alright, which end was I hitting? I wanted to put everything back together, but now I don't know which end is which. Oh joy. Guessing it's that end. Alright, we'll say it's that end. We'll find out later we got it wrong. And then the other bearing, we need to knock that out with something. An extension, nope. An extension with a socket on the end. Yeah, that'll do. Alright. The other bad bearing. Yeah, that just spins and doesn't sound good, and this doesn't spin and doesn't sound good. This is the, oh, there it goes. This is the chain tensioner. It's dirty as, and that bearing actually feels okay. I can't imagine it is okay. Yeah, no. What are you? You are not 17mm, maybe you are 16. Oh yeah. Oh! And what's the story here then? Two small bearings. It's a double chain on this, so double sprockets, obviously. That feels fine. That feels different. Okay, and there's a washer in the middle. That's what's making that noise. Nah. Yeah, bearings are cheap. Let's get new ones. Looking at the condition of this thing, I can't imagine it's going to last that much longer. I'm trying to get some pieces finished here so that I can put them on the pile of stuff that's finished and I can feel a bit better about life. This is obviously the motor. Given it a quick bath with some mineral spirits and a toothbrush, got some of the dirt off it, blew a lot of dust out of the inside. I think that's mostly dust from it being driven on these gravel roads that we have around here and from the farm where it lived before. So this wiring needs to be addressed. There's a grommet here which should be in this hole and it isn't. Both of these wires are rubbed through and I don't know what's going on here, but I suspect we're going to find something similar there. This is electrical tape which is hiding maybe some more damage. No, it's just electrical tape. Okay, see if we can get this thing apart. And this is held together by a long bolt that goes all the way through from one end to the other. One of those is loose. I don't know why. Probably because somebody didn't tighten it up. Yeah, gonna go with that. That's what holds it together. We're going to try not to lose those. Yeah. That's spinning on the other end. These are 8mm. This is the one that's loose. Yeah. Now I know why. The threads on the end, which you won't be able to see, the threads on the end are damaged. So, yeah. Now we know why. So someone's had this apart before. Not really surprisingly, because it's a few years old, this. And now we need a good way of taking this apart. Taking this apart in a controlled fashion, I think is what we're out after. Right, change of plan. I can't take the motor apart without taking the drive wheel off the bottom, or off the shaft at the other end. And I don't feel like doing that, and I don't really think it's necessary either. The problem areas with the wiring are here. I've managed to look inside it. There is space to look inside, and it looks absolutely fine. So I'm not going to take it apart, because I know how to get it back together. And you know, I think a good rule is that if you don't need to take something apart, don't take it apart. If it's working, leave it alone. So yeah, that's what I'm going with. So this we need to do something about. We've got a crimped connector on that end and double wiring, and this is original to the motor. So I think what I'm going to try doing here is putting a bit of crimp slang, is what it's called in Swedish, is putting a bit of heat shrink, is what it's called in English, tubing over each one of these wires individually, and then maybe another bit over everything, and then try and get this rubber grommet back in, which is it's in sad shape, but yeah, we'll try that. I can't save these ends. Obviously I need to put a bit of shrink tube over each of these wires, so I'm going to have to cut these off, and there's more, yeah, there's more electrical tape there. Several years ago I bought what seems like a couple of 100 meters of this stuff. I thought it would be useful. It is useful, but I haven't got through much of it. So we want a couple of bits about, I don't know, like that maybe. And another one, kind of the same length. I'll have to remake the connections on the end, but that's not a problem. A slightly larger diameter would have been good, but I think this will work. Yo. Yeah, that's quite bent there. Alright, I'm going to wrestle with that for a bit. I'll bring you back when it's on. Well, that wasn't the easiest thing in the world to get on, but they're on there now. There are much better ways of doing this that don't involve fire. Hot air gun, for example. Don't have one. Should get one. Will get one day. Haven't got around to it. It's fine. It's just a bit of fire. Fire is good. Something like that. See, so this grommet still fits over everything. And yep, that's going to be fine. I think now we'll see about getting a piece of larger diameter crimp slang, which is still not called crimp slang in English. Heat shrink tube over both of those. Maybe that, if it's going to shrink down enough. I'd say that's pretty good. Yeah, that should be fine. It's shrinking quite nicely. It's a bit unshrinked here, but there it goes. Right, should do nicely. And then grommet, I think a little bit of grease on these. Should just help it slide over a little bit. A rubber grommet on newly applied heat shrink, it doesn't really want to slide. There we go. And I don't know, maybe a little bit of grease on the outside of that as well, to help that get into the motor housing there. Small poking device for poking small objects. Maybe now. Maybe not. I can't really see the other side either, so I don't know if we're stuck on getting it into the hole or if it's stuck on the wires. I don't know. It's not bad. I'm going to work away at this for a bit. We'll see what we draw for conclusions later. The other side's pretty good. We're going to put a little bit of shrink wrap over the, I think it's going to go on over this terminal, so I don't need to cut the terminal off. So that's good. So we get a bit that's about the same length as the other one. And try to stick that on over there. The rubber grommet, where the wire goes into the motor, that's where it should be, and that's doing what it should be doing. I think we just give it a little bit of extra protection just there. That seems to be, I don't know, it seems to be a little bit vulnerable there. Yeah. Something like that. Now the question, is this big enough to crimp that? I don't think it is. It'd be nice if it was. No. What needs to be done with these terminals is to compress them, draw them in, compress them, and get them to sit tightly around the wire. So I wonder if by squeezing this in the vise with a punch in the middle to compress it in the middle, a little bit of extra leverage required. Where did that get us? Huh. No. It's as ugly as you like, but and it's ugly. That's not the right way of doing it, but yeah, that's good. I'm happy with that. Good contact area. It's not going to let go. The only downside is that this, I don't think the piece of heat shrink is that's not going to go over there. Oh, maybe, possibly, I don't know. I'm going to work on that. Ha! The answer was a little dab of grease, and then it worked its way over the terminal. So, yeah. I think that noise is a cat. I hope it's a cat. If it's not a cat, it's a werewolf. Come on. Come on. Hey, play. It was a cat. We're safe for now. So the last thing that's got to go back on this motor is this, I don't know what it is. Well, I know what it is. I'm trying to think what it is in English, not in Swedish. It's got louvers in it. This is obviously to let air in, to let the air circulate. These louvers go this way, these louvers go this way, so it doesn't matter which way it goes on. It's a bit dusty. It's now a bit less dusty. And then there's something to do. What's that? Can't see a thing. There. You can sort of see something. It's better than nothing. This thing here somehow goes in maybe that hole. It fell out of one of the holes, so it's got to go back in one of the holes. Maybe this hole. Yeah, maybe. But then it doesn't have anything to clip into, and it's too loose in there. No. This bit's got to clip in there. It has to. Which means that this bit's got to fit in here, if we can say it in English. Can we put it in that way and twist it round? Maybe get a screwdriver in there and... Oh yeah! Oh yeah, nearly. Now it's just stuck. Let's try that again. Success, kind of. I need 2 extra pairs of hands. And one of those extra pairs of hands can go and water the greenhouse for me, so I can carry on playing here. Yeah, that got it. I don't know how it fell out in the first place, because it's quite difficult to get in there, but it did. But I don't think it's going to fall out again. That's in there. Good. Well, let's see then. That wants to go around there. And that wants to... doesn't want to. It's going to. No. Ah. If you put your paw there and hold that for me. No. Go and water the greenhouse then. Do something. Okay. Hit it. Ha! Hitting stuff with a hammer is, I want to say it's quite often the answer. It's probably not supposed to be the answer, but it's not wrong to do so. That's the conclusion I've come to. Good. So this completes the not really a renovation of this electric motor. So I'm going to put this to one side. This is going to be the start of the pile of stuff that's ready to go back on the machine, and that's quite exciting because that's it's not a very big pile yet. This is kind of the first thing in it. But yeah. This is the end of part 2 of the restoration of this electric transport moped. We're now, yeah, over an hour again, a little bit longer than the last one, so yeah, we're not going in the right direction, so that's good. We're breaking it here. Coming up will be part 3 of, I don't know, 20, 30, no, probably about 5 parts. See you next time.